the enthusiastic tutor, and in today's tutorial, it happens to be our very first class on the course ENG114, and we're going to be taking our bearing from the Nigerian literature. With this being said, let's hop straight into it. But just before then, for those of us who are new to the stream, let's do have to smash like button, subscribe to the channel, and as well ensure to request for the keynote of this course and the practice questions as far as we are concerned that exam is fast approaching. All right, with this being said, let's go straight into it. Okay, so we have right. Okay, as the thumbnail says, as an ENG114, and we're going to be talking about the ENG114 course, and we are going to be talking about the Nigerian literature. All right, so we're going to be considering certain things about the Nigerian literature, how it came to pass, its origin, all right, and everything we need to know about the Nigerian literature and some notable individuals who has done great things when it comes to literature when it comes to Nigerian literature. All right, all of this we're going to be dissecting in today's class. Okay, so now just before we get straight into it, let's use this opportunity to wait for others to join, as the first link that was sent earlier was broken. So we just have to create a new link very quickly. All right, so let's just wait for others to join before we proceed fully into today's class. All right, so now, like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about Nigerian literature. Okay, a lot of things to consider, what it means and how it came into play. So we have Nigerian literature. All right, okay, so now when we talk about Nigerian literature, what are we referring to? First, we need to bear in mind that Nigerian literature is a phenomenon, all right, that happened due to certain facts. Okay, so consider very firstly, we're going to be talking about the effect of colonization. All right, we're going to be talking about the effect of colonization as one of the determinant of Nigerian literature. Now, in the colonial period, some Nigerians were exposed to English language, and these individuals began to write literature in English. All right, like we all know, like several other African countries, English is not L1, which we refer to as first language. All right, English for African countries is L2, in the sense that we have our local dialect. We have our dialect, which we otherwise call mother tongue. Okay, so English for African countries is majorly as a result of colonization. All right, so as a result of this exposure to colonization, certain individuals, all right, were exposed to English language. All right, this exposure led to the writing of literature in English by these Nigerians. Are we together? Are we together on this? Now, this exposure led to the writing of literature in English by these Nigerians. Okay, so now we talk about colonization, all right, exposure. Okay, then we said, as a result of this exposure, then these individuals that were exposed to colonization, all right, began, all right, were exposed to colonization, got to know about English language, all right, and English, got to learn about English, how to use, how to speak this language, and this led to, all right, this individual writing literature, all right, began writing English literature. Now that that is clear, all right, now that that has been clearly um, dissected and explained, then I think we can move on to some other things. Now, please, as you join the stream, if you are here to say hi, all right, if you are here to smash like button, do well to do that as as you join, please. All right. So we can acknowledge your presence, and also feel free to ask your questions. All right. Feel free to ask your questions. Let's make the class interactive. Okay. Let's make it an interactive, all right, class as we take on this course. Now, okay. Now, it says here that Nigerian writers, okay, Mercy Chin, Mrs. Mercy Chidima, it's great to have you on board. Mrs. Immaculate, it's great to have you on board. All right. Thank you all. I think we are about 5 of us and we have just 2 likes. What seems to be the problem? Let's do also smash the like button if we are here to do that. Just now we have Nigerian writers in this period wrote, all right, both in Western language, which we refer to as English language, all right, both in Western language and in traditional Nigerian languages, all right. So now, individuals who were exposed to colonization, exposed to English language, don't forget, we already established the fact that English language to all African countries is L2. Now, there was an L1. So, irrespective of the fact that you got to learn about the new language, you can speak and you can write in this language, doesn't write out the fact that you have a L1. All right. So, individuals who had been exposed to English language and began writing literature in English language still wrote some literature in their L1, wrote some literature in their traditional L1 is what I'm referring to as your first language. All right. I'm Yoruba by tribe. Yoruba is my first language. That's my L1. That's the language I got to know first before getting to know English. All right. So as an Easterner, as a Northerner, you have other language, local dialects, which we popularly refer to them as. Now, it says that Nigerians writers in this period wrote both in Western language, which we refer to as English language, and in traditional Nigerian languages. One interesting thing about these early works is the absorption of oral arts in them. All right. So now, irrespective of the fact that these notable individuals, which we are going to be making mention, all right, of them in a moment, did not just write, all right, they also infused what we call oral, all right, oral arts. Now, oral arts, talking about oral arts, we are simply referring to that part of literature, all right, that we can as well refer to as oral tradition. All right, this is the kind of literature that involves the use of spoken words. All right, so it's not just about writing literature alone now, also the use of spoken words. All right, oral tradition or oral literature or oral art, the use of spoken words to convey meaning and emotion to audience. All right, the use of spoken words. All right, here it's not about written words. All right, when it comes to oral art or oral literature, it's not about written words anymore. All right. So it's more emphasis are laid on the use of oral, more like what we go to theaters to watch, whereby you have a bunch of individuals, all right, portraying literature with, all right, words of mouth on the stage and communicating emotions, experiences, all right, events, and the likes. So that's what we have as oral art or oral literature, where we use the spoken words, all right, art in form of spoken words to convey meaning and emotion, convey meaning and emotion. Okay, so we have that as that. Now let's take a step further. So now, just like I said earlier, we're going to be making mention of certain individuals who had done notably well. All right, these individuals had done great job when it comes to literature in Nigeria. Now, to start with, we have, all right, some notable job done by these individuals, and we are going to be starting with that of, all right, Irumole. All right, Irumole happens to be Irumole. It happens to be the first novel written in Yoruba language. All right, the very first novel written in Yoruba language, and one of the first to be written in African language. All right, first novel Yoruba language. All right, and African language. Okay, the very first novel. Okay, now this novel was so remarkable that it got to a point whereby Wole Soyinka translated the book into English, all right, in the year 1968. All right, so Wole Soyinka translated the book to English in the year 1968. Okay, translated the book to English in the year 1968, changing the name to the forest of a thousand demons. All right. So we also have Fagunwas. All right. Fagunwas' late work include, all right, the Olodumare, which is the forest of God. Now, from what we can see here, Irumole, that happens to be the very first novel written in Yoruba language, happens to be the creative work of Fagunwa. Right? And not just about Inumole, there are also great notable work that Fagunwa has also introduced, whereby we have the likes of Olodumare in English, whereby we have the Forest of God. We also have Ireke Onibodo. All right, so we have the uh, Forest of God in the year 1949. That is Olodumare in bracket Forest, all right, of God, FOG. That is in the year. Please take note of all these dates, 1949. We also have the Ireke Onibudo, all right, Ireke Onibudo, okay, that is 1949, 1949 as well, 1949. Please note all these dates, they're highly essential. Okay, so we have Aditu Olodumare as well. That's another work of Fagunwa. All right, Fagunwa's literature. Another one is Aditu Olodumare in 1961. All right, Aditu Olodumare. That is in 1961. Okay, those are impeccable work of art, wonderful literatures by our own, all right, Nigerians. All right. So we have that as that. Now it says here again, Famua's novel draw heavily on folk tales, traditions, and idioms, including many supernatural, all right, elements. Now, it doesn't just when it comes to the work of art, to according to these uh, great individuals that happens to be son of the soil, they do not just level on the literature part of this, all right? They also level on folk tales, all right? Drawing heavy, all right, transitions from folk tales, all right, idioms, and also the use of supernatural elements. When we talk about folk tales, we are simply referring to stories originating, all right, to rich cultural stories. Let's put it that way. Folk tales are rich cultural stories that has their origin in the tradition of the people. All right, these are stories that has their origin in the tradition of the people. Okay, so we have that as that. Now let's take a step further. Now, apart from the folk tales and literature, now Faguma also talked about heroes. All right, talked about great individuals who had done great things for their communities, which he referred to as heroes. All right, using characters like hunters, all right, who interact with kinksakes and even the gods on certain quests. All right. Now, in his novel, he also explored, all right, and try to divide between Christian beliefs of Nigerian colonizers and the country traditional religions. All right, this is to tell us that he really, really did some, all right, exploring. All right, it was not just limited to the tradition. He also, in his novel, included the fact that understand the fact that this is a country whereby we have after the colonization, before the colonization, there was nothing like Christianity or Islam. All right. So, but after the colonization, definitely they are exposed now. So they understand that it's not just about the traditional worshippers alone. There are also other worshippers which are referred to as Christians. So his literature covered all this aspect. All right. So it says here that Fagunwa remains the most widely read, all right, Yoruba language author. Fagunwa, the most widely. I think we should create a space for that. So we squeeze that in? It says Fagunwa, that's the Fagunwa, the most widely read, all right, Yoruba language author. Yoruba language author. The most widely read Yoruba language author and a major influence, all right, on such contemporary writer as the likes of Amos Tutuola, which happens to be a very wonderful literature writer as well, right? But in the history of Yoruba literature, all right, Fagunwa is a force to reckon with. Okay, so now literature, beautiful literature work is not limited to just the Yorubas alone. We also have the Igbos and we have great literature work from the Igbos and as well as the Hausas. Now, in the Igbo or Ahera, we have the likes of Pita, that is Pita. Yeah, I think I should just create some space for this. Okay, so now Igbo, we have the likes of Pita, all right, Umwana. Now, Peter Uwana also he happens to be a very wonderful, all right, author as well. Now, Peter Uwana wrote Omenuku, all right, Omenuku, all right, which is regarded as the first Igbo epic, all right, first Igbo epic Omenuku by Peter Uwana. Okay, now The same occurred in the Hausa literature, all right, considering the work of Samanja, all right, Samanja Manza Farmer, all right, and also considering the work of Samanja as well as Karo Dagoma, all right. So let's acknowledge that as well. Hausa, whereby we have the works of for Hausas, we have the works of Samanja, Samanja, all right, Manza, Manza, Farmer, and Karu Dagoma, Karu Dagoma. All right, those are also forces we need to reckon with when it comes to literature in from the houses and from the Igbos. So we have that as that. So very quickly, before we call it wrap here for today, let's talk about the Nigerian orature, all right, in literature. Or should we put it this way? Nigerian orature in Nigerian literature. Now, to start with, what do we mean by orature? Now, orature, earlier explained, also is referred to as oral literature. All right. I think I should send that shade of marker for that. Orature, otherwise known as oral, all right, literature. Okay, orature is otherwise known as oral literature, and it's said to be a genre of literature that is shared primarily through what speech. We spoke about that a moment ago. A genre of literature that it is primarily shared through speech. Now, Nigerian oral literature, like other forms of popular culture, is not merely a form of entertainment. All right, it's not merely a form of entertainment. Nigerian oral literature. Now, it is said to be a medium of commenting on contemporary social and political events. All right, a medium of commenting. All right, commenting on contemporary. When we say contemporary, we're talking about recent happenings. All right, contemporary. All right, contemporary social and political events. Now, just like I said earlier, you use this oral literature to communicate, all right, to the audience, communicate events and emotions to the audience. All right, events could be social events, could be political events, and the likes of that. Okay, now it can be as well. It can also be seen as what we refer to as a significant agent of change, capable of doing what? Storing the people's historical experience. All right. Literature basically, like we're talking about, is more of the written part. All right. Literature. Now, oral literature is more of an upgrade. All right. So you can get the literature book to read, then you can listen, you can watch. All right. What we have on the book, you can listen to them through oral literature. You can watch this event, um, you can watch this tradition, you can watch communication of this tradition, you can watch this event and certain happening in a particular tradition or certain time or a certain timeline. All right. You can watch people act this on stage, you can communicate it to you, all right, with spoken words. There's a whole and sundry of oral literature. Now, from this oral literature, something was introduced, and this is referred to as myths and legends. All right, myths and legends. All right, myth and legend came into play due to this oral literature. Now, what are we talking about here? We are simply referring to the fact that, please do well to let me know if you can hear me in the comment section. Okay, now what we're simply referring to here is that the use of myths are stories. All right, the use of myths when it comes to oral literature goes a long way. All right, myth tells stories. All right, origins of certain creations. What myth is all about. All right, myth tells stories of origin. All right, or creation. Now, they are stories about the beginning of a people. All right. And if you have to communicate certain events in a certain timeline to an audience, then you need to use what we refer to as myth. All right. I remember we said something about legends. These are people who had, all right, extraordinary or can we say supernatural powers, who stood for their people. Therefore, their people acknowledges, appreciates, and I don't want to use the word worship, so let's just use the word acknowledge their act of bravery. All right. And as a result of this, name them name certain cities or communities or societies after them just to acknowledge their act of bravery. The use of myths and legends work together to make oral literature as effective as it can be. Okay, are we good to go? Now, it says here many communities attribute their greatness to their beginning, most especially here in Africa. All right, but I'm not limiting this to just Africa. All right. Many communities, like we've been told here, that they attribute their greatness, who they are, due to what their ancestors, all right, had done. All right. So this is why myth is highly necessary when it comes to oral literature. Now, legends as well are records of community heroes. Like I said earlier, records of community heroes. They are stories about those who founded a community and how brave they were. Okay, so we have that as that. I think we've done quite a lot into this class, and we can actually call it a wrap here for today. And still on this, in our next class, we'll talk about the orature in early Nigerian literature. All right. So that's what we'll take it up from in our next class. Talk about orature in early Nigerian literature. So thank you very much, everyone. I believe you all have been able to gain something into this class. For those of us um, who haven't joined the private class, I guess you are actually missing a lot. There's a lot going down in private class. And just like we know that exam is fast approaching, we are also expected to ensure we request the keynotes of this course. Very essential. If you want to find out more about the keynote, what it's all about, just go to our official website or just go to Google and type in exam keynote in now, then add tutor.io. All right. You have the very first options you'll be seeing on Google would be what it's all about, and you can find out more about the keynote. And trust me, there have been reviews. You can go check our reviews on Google about what students are saying about the keynote and about the service as a whole. All right. You also want to take advantage of these particular exam keynotes. And oh, wonderful. Thank you for the support. Wonderful. Thank you for that. So you also want to know how to take advantage of these. Just go ahead to our website, www.star.net, and request for your exam keynotes without delay. But please rest assured that you're not getting this keynote until we are done with this course. All right. So at the time of you watching this recording, probably you are done with the course. Fine. You get the keynote as a token. Thank you very much, everyone, and do have a wonderful evening. I look forward to you on subsequent tutorials. Bye for now. Okay.